From Premier League surprise package to League Cup winners, Swansea City have cemented themselves as the biggest team in Wales. In 2011, Swansea made history by becoming the first Welsh side to play in the English Premier League after Scott Sinclair bagged a hat-trick at Wembley to beat Reading in the Championship playoff final. That result kicked off a 7-season spell in English football's top flight that brought us the likes of Michu and Wilfred Bony, along with some eye-catching football. However, in 2018, the club finished 18th in the Premier League and was relegated to the Championship and has been stuck there ever since. Today, we take charge of the Swans to guide them back to the Premier League and try to replicate that cup success of 2013. So guys, here we are diving in with Swansea in the Sky Bet Championship, the Swansea.com stadium, obviously in Swansea, Wales. The kits look pretty good, but obviously we are a Championship side. The facilities actually in the top right hand corner of your screen, pretty darn good. Actually quite impressed on it. If you look at the key player though, Joel Piero, he is unfortunately going to be leaving us. We are always using a real world database to make these rebuilds as realistic as we possibly can do in terms of personnel. He is of course going to join Leeds towards the end of August. We're at the start of August. This transfer happened in real life, so unfortunately our best player is going to be leaving us. If we do have a look at the squad though, and I sort them all by their ability, you can see we've got Matt Grimes as well. He is going to be the heart and soul of this team. He's been at the club for a long time. I'm going to call him a club legend. He's not actually listed as a club legend here, but I think he is in my mind. Looks like a great player, very well rounded, and he is currently wanted by Bournemouth and West Ham, so that'll be interesting to see if we can keep hold of him. But there are some other players here that look quite good. The team looks okay, if not spectacular. And if we go on to the transfers section, guys, obviously we've got all these transfers leaving us. Nyacham is leaving, Joel Piero obviously, who we did talk about, but on the incoming side of stuff, we do have players coming in as well. I've heard from a reliable source that Bashir Humphreys hasn't necessarily set the world alight over at Swansea, but Josh Tymon looks like a good little player coming in to be the left back for us this season. Charlie Patino in on loan from Arsenal is a very interesting one as well, along with Jamal Lowe from Bournemouth. So we've got some good players coming in, obviously using this real world database, so we're going to have to see what we can do. If we dive into the tactics screen, you know I use the GYR tactics on this channel because they are kind of exclusive to this channel, and we have to use Swans Alone, don't we? If Swans Alone V2 is the tactic, if you want to try and get your hands on it, it'll be in the link in the description down below. But this is how the tactic looks, set up with the best 11 in it right now. Obviously Piero is leaving, as I've mentioned. We've got former Bristol City man Jamie Patterson here, who was a big fan of Pato when he was at City. But there's some interesting blends of players here. No real spectacular players, like Matt Grimes is going to be our best player at the club right now, but I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do in season number 1. Obviously, if we take a look at the competitions tab, we do have the Championship. The Championship is going to be our main thing this year. The board wants a top half finish. I would love to be in the playoffs. The playoffs, I think, would be great. I don't think automatic promotion is realistic with this team, obviously, with some of the players that the teams have coming down, like your Leicesters, your Leeds, your Southamptons. I think trying to cram too many teams into those two positions is going to be a bit tough. Obviously, we do have the Emirates FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, where we will take on Southampton, so I'm expecting a quick exit from that one. The cup competitions aren't our priority right now. I want to finish as high up the Championship as we possibly can and hopefully get ourselves back into Premier League action sooner rather than later. If we have a look at the season preview though, we are 50-1 to win the title. Also, obviously, as I mentioned, the 3 clubs that have been relegated are the odds-on favourites. You still do have the likes of Norwich, West Brom, Watford, Borough, all at the top. Obviously, you've got lots of big teams in this league. It's probably one of the most competitive leagues that you could probably go in and play at. So it's going to be very interesting to see what we can do. So we're going to get to simulating season number 1 with Swansea. Let's see how we get on. Season 1 was all about getting as close to promotion as humanly possible, and our league campaign got off to a great start. We kicked off the season with a 4-1 win against Birmingham and didn't look back, only suffering 2 defeats going into the festive period. Key man for us this season was summer signing Jerry Yates, who would need to step up, and he did just that, scoring 20 goals in the Championship along with 8 assists in a fantastic debut season for the club. After Christmas, we put together a nice run, only losing on the road to Leicester in a 12-game stretch. We did falter slightly in March, only picking up 2 points from 4 games, but got things back on track to finish the season strong. However, as I predicted, the title was long gone. Leeds United won the title with 102 points, but we did finish in the playoffs, and there would be a huge fixture to come up for us in the playoffs. In the semi-finals, it was an all-Welsh affair as we would face Cardiff City for a place in one of the biggest games in world football. We were at home first, and it took a while for us to find the breakthrough, but eventually got there with Liam Cullen latching onto a bad pass before firing us into the lead. The second half was much more eventful as Cullen extended the lead before Nathan Wood rifled home from outside the box and Jerry Yates added a fourth, tapping home from close range, meaning we would have a 4-0 lead on aggregate to take to the nation's capital. Here we managed to extend the lead through January signing Tanguy Coulibaly, but Cardiff pulled level shortly after. The game ended 1-1, meaning we moved into the playoff final in season number 1, where we would take on Norwich. In the final, we opened the scoring through left-back Josh Tymon driving into the box and lashing home at the near post. We then added a second through Coulibaly firing home from outside the area. However, the second half was all Norwich, who roared back into the game after the break and pulled a goal back through Josh Sargent to set up a nervy end to the game, but we managed to hold on and get promoted back into the Premier League. This season we actually had a pretty decent FA Cup run as well, making it to the quarterfinals before losing to Premier League Bournemouth 11-10 on penalties. However, promotion was the ideal scenario this season, and we accomplished that. Going into a busy summer transfer window, the Premier League money has hit our transfer budget as we have just over £34 million to spend. So guys, back in the Premier League, and lots of transfers have happened here. I'm just consulting my notes. We've had 15 players leave the club all told. Some of the more expensive ones are going here. Nathan Wood is kind of one of the ones who did score in the playoff runs. He's departed us to go to Stoke for £1.9 million. And then on this side, you can kind of see sorted by date order. Jay Fulton was gone. Andrew Fisher was gone in this summer window, selling yet another player to Stoke. We also brought in 13 players. We tried to get our business done pretty early here, so all of these highlighted ones at the bottom are also part of this summer's transfer spend. Vanja Milinkovic-Savic comes in from Torino. He is SMS's brother. He is a goalkeeper. He is massive. He is 6'8", Serbian international goalkeeper. He comes in from Torino to be our new goalkeeper. He also has 16 for free kick taking, which, do we let our goalkeeper take free kicks? Who knows? He came in for £5.25 million. We also picked up Maling Sarr from Chelsea as well. Nice, good defensive option. 6 foot, left-footed. Again, a good player at this sort of level that we are at. Suleimana comes in as well as a defensive midfielder for us. Definitely much more of a defensive midfielder than a creative player, but you do need these sorts of players who can break up the play and stuff like that. He comes in from Cagliari. He cost us £3.8 million. 675k for this man, Stephen Bender, as a goalkeeper for us. He is 6'4" as well. Obviously, we've kind of really upgraded in this position. It's going to be interesting to see how he does get on. Former Swan as well, so he comes back to the club. If we look at his history, has been at Swansea a long time, then went to Fulham on a free transfer. We'll have him back, Fulham. If you're not going to play him, we'll have him back. We also picked up a couple of loan signings as well. Amad Diallo is a loan signing for the season, coming in from Manchester United. We are paying a fee for that. 575k doesn't seem too bad. We also are paying £1.7 million for this man, Aaron Ramsey, coming in from Aston Villa. He is a very good player if he's given game time. 21 years of age, on loan obviously. He's at Burnley. Did they sell him to Burnley? Oh my god, they sold him to Burnley. That is crazy. Sold him to Burnley and then Burnley loaned him straight out That's nuts. All right, okay, well, Charlie Patino, we did complete the signing of him, £7.5 million for him. Obviously, he was on loan with us last season, did okay in the Championship, nothing too spellbinding, but a 6.75 option to buy. Yes, please, we'll have him, given we know the potential of him coming into play in midfield. And then flicking over to the other side, you can see here, Jamal Lowe, we picked him up on a free, obviously having been with us last season, which is great. Looks like a very good player. Bertrand Traore, another one coming in. Lots of improvements and lots of players who can play in multiple positions. I think that's kind of key, especially as you're going into the Premier League in that first season. So Bertrand Traore comes in as well. Eddie Salcedo comes in on a free transfer. Again, another man who can play in key positions for us. He can play up front. He can play in the cam spot. Can play on either wing if you have to. So again, a very good utility player coming in on a free transfer. Obviously, now the end of his Inter Milan journey is over because he has been everywhere on loan, it would appear. We also picked up Will Hughes on a free transfer. His contract ended with Crystal Palace, so again, another Premier League proven player to come in, also English as well, which does definitely help. Perozzi is another loan signing. He comes in from Fiorentina. He cost us £1.8 million for the loan for the season, but is a vast step up in that right back position. And then finally, he is always a free agent on this game, it would appear. Taylor Hardwood-Bellis is our new centre back, or at least a centre back option for us. Looks like a good player. Was obviously at Southampton last season. How did he get on at Saints last season? 24 appearances in the Championship. Not too shabby at all. So if we go into our team and our best 11, this is how we are set up for attacking the Premier League. Obviously, we do have a man in on trial at the moment, but look, we're going to have to start the Premier League season. We take on Leeds United today. So we've really stepped up in a lot of positions. Milinkovic-Savic in goal is a massive body for us to have there. Our defense is pretty self-explanatory, 3 stars all across the board. And then we do have some ability in our midfield. Will Hughes, Ramsey, Lowe, Diallo, all of these players. And Jerry Yates is a very good goal scorer, was the top goal scorer for us at the club last season. So I think we're going to do pretty darn nicely. I think we're going to be safe this year. Speaking of, if we go into the competitions, first and foremost, we'll have a look at the Premier League. Obviously, we are expected to finish bottom. 1,000 to 1 odds, the same as Sheffield United. The worst of the 3 Premier League teams, the promoted teams, sorry. We got promoted alongside Leeds and Leicester City. They are expected to equip themselves much better, as you probably would expect. But this is our first season back in the Premier League, so we're going to have to see. And then if I go back to the competitions tab, a very interesting fixture in the Carabao Cup, because we're going to take on Cardiff. Yes, after beating them in the playoffs last season, it's going to be interesting every time we take on Cardiff. Maybe in the league if they get themselves promoted, but potentially more exclusively in the Cups, ideally. I have to say, I'm a Bristol City fan, so that's why there's a little bit of hate for Cardiff as well. Let's simulate season number 2, first season back in the Prem, and see how we get on. On Swansea's promotion to the Premier League last time out in real life, they finished in 11th with 47 points, and I'd have bitten your arm off for that at the start of the season. Our return to the Premier League started with a 4-game unbeaten run that admittedly did contain 3 draws, but potentially gave me some false confidence. Looking at our results, you can see there is still a disparity between us and the teams at the top of the table, but you will still see a decent smattering of green results throughout the fixture list. Key for us this season was summer signing Bertrand Traore, who bagged 10 goals and 7 assists in his 31 Premier League appearances, along with on-loan midfielder Aaron Ramsey, who provided 6 goals and 7 assists and was our player of the season. Moving into 2025, we struggled to get that consistency. One week we're losing back-to-back home games against Leeds United and Wolves. The next, we are beating champions Manchester City. But there were enough wins in here to see us finish 12th with a total of 45 points, which I'm chalking down as a massive success. In the EFL Cup, we managed to win the Welsh derby, beating Cardiff in the first round, before suffering a surprising home defeat against Reading. And in the FA Cup, we won in the third round on the road against Exeter City, before suffering defeat to Bournemouth for a 2nd season in a row. But this was a huge season for the club, and Premier League survival was achieved, and that means we get to strengthen even further, but we have just under £16 million to do so. So after our first season in the Premier League, we had to get to spending and really step this team up in terms of its level. We actually managed to get ourselves £43 million worth of player sales, which is absolutely ridiculous if you ask me. We've got a couple at the bottom of the screen here. Jamal Lowe we have sold to Hibs. Ronald has gone to Auxerre for £5.5 million, but the bulk of it is on this side. If we go, Tanguy Koulibaly has gone to Sheffield United, a player who we did pick up on a free. He's now departed for £10.75 million to Sheffield United, who are now playing in the Championship. Eddie Salcedo, another player who we brought in on a free. He has gone to Bournemouth. Will Hughes, another one, gone to Genoa. Josh Ginley, gone to Al Nassr. This is a crazy transfer. For him to just go and join Ronaldo is nuts for me. But you can kind of see some of the moves that we have done here. And on the incoming side of things, we have actually spent 65 million quid, bringing in 12 brand new players. The start of them is here. Let me highlight them to make it easier for everyone to see. Cameron Archer is the big one. He has come in for £21.5 million from Sheffield United. He looks fantastic. I've seen good things of him in this year's game, so it's good to finally get our hands on him. 17 finishing and 16 composure, along with his physicals, could be very good indeed. We also brought in Mavidi, who I've definitely butchered his name, from Leicester City. A good option for us on that left-hand side. He cost us £2.4 million from Leicester, so not too shabby at all. £6 million was spent on this man, Federico Redondo, from Argentinos Juniors, over in Argentina, of course. Now, he looks like a complete package, supremely well-rounded to play in central midfield, and obviously when you go shopping in South America, it doesn't cost you anywhere near as much. 6'2", this man. 16 passing, 16 long shots, 14 first touch. Looks great for the level. I'm really intrigued to see how he transitions to English football. We picked up Connor Bradley. Lots about this guy IRL right now as Liverpool's right back. He is electric fast, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do at the club. This is kind of a look to the future, but you know, he was available for £1.2 million, so there we go. We also signed Pontus Almqvist, is how I'm going to butcher this guy's name. Again, a fast winger, can play up front, can play on the right hand side, can play on the left hand side if definitely needed to. Has bounced around a decent amount in his club career, as you can see, after having a long base in Sweden. He's been in Russia, he's been in the Netherlands, been in Poland, Italy, but we picked him up on a free transfer, so we'll take it. We also then went back to Argentinos Juniors for Alan Rodriguez. This is more of a creative midfielder, can play in lots of key positions for us. Again, you can kind of see what we're trying to do here. Alan Rodriguez came in for £4.8 million, so we gave an Argentinian club over 10 million quid. Gabriel Strafeza comes in from Lecce. Again, nice quick winger, can play on the right hand side, can play on the left hand side again if absolutely necessary. Ryan Yates is a central midfielder who comes in from Nottingham Forest, again on a free transfer. Good squad player, 6'3", nice thick big meaty boy. Pause. But yeah, looks like a good option for us in that midfield. Definitely coming in as a squad player for free, doesn't really impact us too much. Joe Rothwell comes in from Bournemouth. Again, not a huge fee for him, but a good player to have in our squad. Sometimes you don't necessarily need to go with all these wonder kids. Having a bit of experience really does help. Jakob Bruen, another player, good winger on both sides. Some of these players are going to play. Some of these players are going to play their way into our team. Some of them we're probably going to end up selling next season, but it's all good to see who can make that step up. He only does have 10 finishing, but I think we can definitely work on that. He cost us £11.25 million. Pablo Roberto, a good attacking midfielder, probably to play in the cam spot more than the central midfield spot, but looks pretty good as well, coming in from Casapia in Italy. And then finally, the last one, Augusto Schott, to be our starting right back. Obviously, I mentioned Connor Bradley. This guy's definitely much more ready, much more established to be in that position. Comes in for £6.75 million from Argentina as well. So I'm sure you're going to want to see the best 11 going into season number 3 with the Swans. If we quick pick, this is how it's looking. For some reason, I don't know why Schott's not showing up in the star ratings, but you can see we've really invested in our defense this summer. Also, Marling Sarr has kind of grown into a bit more of a better player, which is great, really good for us to have. But the balance feels a little bit better, to be perfectly honest. Also, Redondo looks like a fantastic player. We've got really good options. Archer comes in as our new starting forward, but the depth that we now have going into Premier League season, well, Premier League season number 2, but season number 3 overall is much better than we've ever had, as you probably would expect from all of the Premier League money that we've spent. Going into the competitions tab, Cardiff seem to be a glutton for punishment in these draws. We've got Cardiff City again in the Carabao Cup, but obviously Premier League is going to be our bread and butter, but you can't lose to your rivals. So if we go into the Premier League, we'll take a look at the season preview. We are no longer technically the worst team in the league. Maybe. We're predicted to finish 19th. Newly promoted Burnley are also down there at 1,000 to 1. Similar odds to Norwich and Southampton, who got themselves promoted this time around. I'd like to kick on a little bit. Mid-table is great. Mid-table is great, but I feel like we've really invested into the team, and I think this is the time that we make a little bit of a step up. I'm not expecting Europe or a title challenge or anything like that, but, you know, if we could maybe finish in 7th, 8th, 9th, that'd be great. Let's get to simulating season number 3. Before we start the season recap, I have to tell you about 2 late summer arrivals. We managed to secure the loan signing of Destiny Udogie from Spurs, and he was exceptional all season. We do have an optional future fee on him, but that's for £49 million, so we'll have to see what we can do there. And we also signed Dortmund starlet Youssoufa Moukoko again on loan for the entire season. Age 21, he took the league by storm and provided 13 goals and 6 assists in his first shot at the Premier League, and was our top goal scorer all year. Diving into the action, we started our Premier League campaign with 2 wins before suffering 4 successive defeats. But as the new arrivals settled into the system, results started to get better towards the end of the year. However, the fixture computer wasn't too kind to us in February, as we had a run of games where we took on Liverpool, Manchester United, Spurs and Manchester City all in a row, with 3 of those fixtures coming on the road, but I guess it got the tough ones out of the way in quick succession. And then to close out the season, we had slightly easier games and managed to go unbeaten for the remaining 8 fixtures of the season, picking up 18 points from a potential 24 to finish the season in 11th. Another good season for us, but I'd really like to push up the table next time out. Whilst things were pretty solid in the Premier League, we were actually quite good in the domestic cups as well this year. For a second season in a row, we knocked Cardiff out of the EFL Cup before beating Mansfield and West Ham to set up a quarter-final tie against Crystal Palace. We were at home for this one and both sides were relentless in front of goal, but I thought we won it with a 91st minute goal, only to see Palace pull themselves level just 60 seconds later. That goal meant that the game would be decided via penalty shootout, where Moukoko saw our first penalty saved by Dean Henderson. The penalties then continued to hit the back of the net until Palace's 4th penalty came crashing back off the post before big Vanja Milinkovic-Savic denied Marquinhos to see us move into the semi-finals. At this point, the tie would be decided over 2 legs and we'd take on Chelsea. The first game was at the Bridge and we had an absolute stinker, with Chelsea raining down the goals on us, which ended up with them running out 5-1 winners on the night. Back in Swansea for the second leg, we pulled a goal back through Mavidi, but the tie was already dead and buried, with us losing 6-2 on aggregate in the end. But it was a good showing in a domestic cup competition nonetheless. And in the FA Cup, we progressed with a win against Leicester before needing a replay to knock out League One Charlton before facing Tottenham in the 5th round. This game would take place in Swansea and we blew Spurs out of the water, racking up 3 goals before Tuan Coop Miners scored nothing more than a consolation goal for Big Ange's men. It was Brighton up next in the quarterfinals, with this game being played at the Amex. Ryan Yates opened the scoring for us, but that was quickly cancelled out by Kaoru Mitoma. We then took the lead again in the game from the spot as skipper Matt Grimes bagged just before half time. But in the second half, we were all square yet again, this time with Pascal Gross being the man to bag the goal. And that is how it remained, forcing the game into extra time, where for a 3rd time in the fixture, we took the lead. This time through substitute Youssoufa Moukoko. But yes, you guessed it, Brighton were able to equalise for a 3rd time to send the game to a penalty shootout. However, our performance in the shootout was pretty poor, as Cameron Archer saw his penalty crash back against the post, which was followed up by Destiny Udogie and Taylor Hardwood-Bellis seeing their penalty saved by Jason Steele. I think at this point it's clear we're an established side at this level, so now it's time to really kick on. And to do so, we have a war chest of just under £54 million to spend, as that Premier League money hits like no other in world football. It was another big summer transfer window going into season number 4. We actually managed to shift over £100 million worth of players. Yes, FM is silly sometimes. The ones that I'm going to highlight at the bottom of the screen are the ones that we got done early. Joe Rothwell departs for Millwall for 575k. Pablo Roberto departs for Norwich. He was only here for a season. 32 games he played for us. £10.25 million is what we paid. And then Norwich stumped up £26 million for this guy, so you have to let him go. Swansea legend Ben Cabango also departs on loan, but he will be back. Ibrahim Suleimana departs for Luton for £4.6 million, and then there is another loan over there. Here are some of the other major outgoings. I'm going to sort them by fees so that we can kind of see how much players are going for. This is the one that really knocked my socks off. Vanja Milinkovic-Savic is now a Real Madrid player. Yes, make it make sense. He goes from the white of Swansea to the white of Real Madrid. We paid £5.25 million. Real Madrid paid £27 million. I don't think he's going to play for them, but we'll take the money nonetheless. It's a big signing for us. Strefeza has departed for Leicester as well. Again, another player who was here for a season, played 36 games for us in the Prem last season. We got him on a free and flipped him for £26.5 million. This is good business if you ask me. Oliver Cooper has departed. A Welshman has gone over to Saudi. That is a Saudi club, right? Yeah, it is a Saudi club. He has departed for Saudi Arabia because FM's weird this year. £7 million. He was followed out by Alamani Toure. Again, another one departing us over there. Mavidi has departed us as well. So you can see some of these little ones adding up, but I'm still baffled by Milinkovic-Savic going to Real Madrid. It makes absolutely no sense for us whatsoever, but there we go. On the incoming side of things, we picked up 13 players, which is really, really good for us, but we didn't really break the bank on any of them. Kind of smaller fees for some of these players. I didn't go spending 40, 50, 60 million on one single player, but that should allow us to have a much better squad depth. Chris Rigg comes in. As you can see, he looks pretty good to play in central midfield. 19 years of age, looks really good coming in from Sunderland for 16.75 million. Dan Axel Zagadou comes in from RB Leipzig. I love this guy. He's a big, meaty man, 6'5", loves a header, good jumping reach. Also a very good option for us. He comes in £13.75 million. Sforza, Joan Sforza, he is great in this year's game. If you've not picked him up, the Argentine youth player, yeah, capped at under 23 level, hasn't made his way into the first team yet. Great passing, great technique, good vision, has the ability to unlock defenses, which is what we are looking for this year. £10.5 million coming in from Newell's Old Boys. Andreas Salazar comes in to be our new left back, guys. 6 foot, 23 years of age, 7 caps for the Colombian national team, which is great. 15 crossing, high agility, high pace as well. Can be a real handful in that left wing back spot. £4.3 million he came in for from AC Milan. Andrea Colpani comes in from Monza for £7 million. This is what he looks like. I have packed this guy on FC24 so much this year. He's a silver card, looks quite good. I'm quite happy with how he looks here. Good central midfielder, can play in the cam spot as well. Nice off the ball, nice work rate. You know he's going to work hard for the team. He cost us £7 million from Monza. And over here you can see some of the other ones that we have picked up. Dia comes in to be our new striker. 16 pace, 16 agility, 16 acceleration and agility with that 15 pace, 15 finishing as well. He's going to be our new man up top who can ultimately alternate with Archer and kind of maybe stretch the play a little bit more. A big one, 25 million on this man. Noni Madueke never plays for Chelsea in these games. Don't understand why. 16 pace, again, high pace, high flair, high dribbling. He's going to cause a good amount of damage for us on that right-hand side, I would imagine. Free transfer is Mike Nugent. Where do we get him from? He was a free transfer, came through our youth intake by Luca Andrade, comes in, a winger from Boca Juniors. Again, some of these younger ones, £7.5 million, but you've seen the ability that we've been able to flip some of these players for, so we're going to have to see what we can do with him. Thomas Araujo, I believe he's the former Benfica centre-back. He was at Atalanta in this game. Atalanta paid £7 million for him. Didn't really play him. We'll have him for 4.9. Thank you very much, guys. This is our new goalkeeper to replace Milinkovic-Savic. Stefano Torati. He looks very, very good. High positioning, good one-on-ones, good reflexes. You can see why he is a step up. He's also consistent. He's also agile. which is really, really good to see. If we have a look at some of his pros here, good player for most Premier League sides, spirited, consistent performer. Strongest attribute is his agility. It's great to see. He also likes big matches. Very, very good signing coming in from Sassuolo for £5.75 million. We're almost finished, guys. Adriano comes in. I'm not going to try and butcher his last name again. Another cam spot player. We're looking basically at a lot of depth, and then Manu Bueno comes in as our final player for the summer on a free transfer. Now, I said we didn't spend an abundance of money in terms of dumping it on one single player, but I think this is our best 11 going into the season, and we have so many options now. The fact that we've got Noni Madueke, Timon on the bench, Zagadou on the bench, Dia on the bench. Well, Dia and Archer, they're probably going to swap a decent amount, maybe. I don't know. We're going to leave it up to the assistant anyway. But this is our best 11 going into season number 4. Connor Bradley has had that emergence in that right back spot. He's definitely developed quite nicely, and that pace is really going to cause people some problems. So we're going to have to see how we get on, but I'm really happy with this team. Malingsar and Salazar, Sforza. The fact that Redondo's gone down to a 3-star player is nuts to me. It goes to show the depth that we do have in this team. If we go and take a look at the competitions tab, we don't have Cardiff this year in the Carabao Cup, which is nice to see. Less pressure on an early round game, because obviously we want to beat Cardiff. But the Premier League is where I really want to start moving up. We've had mid-table finishes the last couple of seasons. Now is the time. I really want us to start moving up. United won the title last season. That is crazy. Here are the odds. We've finally improved. We are now 400 to 1 to win the title. We're up to 16th, predicted to finish 16th. Obviously, we've been punching above our weight. If we can continue to do that, superb. Coventry City got themselves promoted last season. They are 2,000 to 1. 2,000 to 1 to win the Premier League. I've never seen odds that big. I've only ever seen 1,000 to 1. Let me know down in the comments if you have seen anything more than that, or 2,000 to 1 or anything like that, because that to me is just absolutely mind-blowing, and I wish them all the luck. We'll see at the end of the season if they do manage to stay up. Let's get to simulating season number 4. After our success in the cup competitions last season, I was really hoping that we would be able to build on that and maybe get our way into a Carabao Cup final or something like that, but that just wasn't to be this year. In the EFL Cup this season, we progressed with a win against Charlton before facing the tough task of entertaining Manchester City at home. The boys fought valiantly here, but 2 goals in second half injury time from Jack Grealish and Pepe saw Carlo Ancelotti's Manchester City advance and us depart the competition. In the FA Cup, we took a hiding away at Newcastle in the 5th round, but that was only after dumping Cardiff City out of yet another cup competition. However, our Premier League campaign was pretty similar as the past few seasons, as we really struggled to get some consistency with this side. Looking at the fixtures, you can see how long it takes for new players to get used to a system, as things finally started to click over the winter break. Summer signing Boulaye Dia was our top goal scorer for us this season, but again failed to break that 20 Premier League goals mark, finishing the season on 13. Throughout the second half of the season, we put together several good results, even going unbeaten for the final 7 games, but yet again we couldn't break into that top half of the table, finishing in 12th with 50 points. We've really secured ourselves as a mainstay in the Premier League, but we are really struggling to make that next step up. We are going to have one more crack at it over the summer, and we've got a transfer budget of £42 million to get it done. Okay, so we had to go for it this summer. We had to mix things up. We had to try and see how much money we could make and how much money we could spend to take this team to the next level. And we got active in the transfer market, guys. As you can see, £71 million recouped on players. Pontus Amquist sold to Al Ittihad for £20 million. He was another player that we got on a free. Dan Axel Zagadou wanted to play more fixtures. Unfortunately, that wasn't going to be here. He went to Valencia for £19.5 million. Felipe Amaral over to Bournemouth for £17 million. Andres Salazar to Everton for £9.75 million. Ryan Yates, after being a good servant during this rebuild, has departed for Celtic. He's gone for £3 £3.8 million. And you can see some of the outgoings here. Now, I've got 3 incomings on this side. William Pacheco looks, looks pretty good here. A nice improvement in the centre-back position. Ecuadorian international, again, now valued at £54 to £59 million. We paid £28 million for him. Coming in from Frankfurt, amazing signing for us. I think he's going to be pretty good. Now, I have to talk to you about this one because it really confused me. Amar Dedic comes in from Red Bull Salzburg. Look at the quality of this player to play in the left-back position. That's why we sold Salazar. He cost us 6k. Just let that sink in. £6,000. Unreal. Best signing you're probably going to see in this rebuild. We also signed Yankuba Minter from Newcastle. He's already been picked up from Feyenoord. He is electric pace. 18 pace, 17 acceleration, 17 dribbling. Is a natural on both wings. We'll have him on loan because Newcastle probably can't find a place to play him. We'll have him on loan. So you're looking at this and you're thinking 71 million out, 31.5 million spent. Steve, you've done really well. Yeah, we got business done really early. And we went big on 3 players. £82 million on Elise Ben-Sakir. He is very good in this year's game. Coming in from Monaco, has been playing in the French league. He is now going to be our starting central attacking midfielder. He is brilliant in this year's game. 16 dribbling, 16 first touch, high passing, high vision, high agility as well. But yes, we did pay a lot of money for him. You gotta love installments, right? We also went and got his Monaco teammate, Thiago Gouveia. He comes in as, again, a natural winger on both sides. High flair, high off the ball, high technique, insane levels of dribbling. I'm ready for him to start ripping this team apart. Obviously, former Benfica player. Monaco turning an absolute gem on him. 8.75 million they paid. We pay 75 million again. Installments. And then finally we picked up Aaron Hickey. He is a natural in both fullback positions, so really good for us. I'm not actually too sure. Probably going to end up playing right back for us. Consistent performer, loves big matches, highly versatile. A very good pickup for us, obviously, with being a Scottish international as well. If we quick pick without restriction our best 11 going into the season, this is how we are set up, guys. So we've got Tarati in goal, Hickey, Araujo, Pacho, Dedic, Redondo, Chris Rigg is there, Minter, the man on loan from Newcastle, Ben-Sakir, Gouveia, and Dia. This is a good team, guys, a good Premier League team. The 3 behind the Dia as the striker are brilliant, and the fact that Dia can stretch the teams is superb. I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. Obviously, we've got depth and ability on that bench as well. Cameron Archer, Connor Bradley. We've got Darling on the bench, Noni Madueke down there. We've got really good players, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing how we handle this season. We even won a friendly cup. Look at this. Friendly cup. We beat St Mirren in the final. You're not going to see anything better than that, guys. Looking at some of these other results, guys. Quarterfinals is what is expected in the Emirates FA Cup this year. Quarterfinals again in the Carabao Cup. So the board are really thinking that we are stepping things up. And I think we are. Obviously, with spending that much amount of money, it's kind of to be expected, isn't it? If we have a look at the Premier League, we are predicted to finish, or the board wants us to finish in top half after Manchester United have secured back-to-back Premier League trophies. We are 50 to 1 to win the title. We are now 9th, predicted to finish 9th. So obviously spending hundreds of millions of pounds on this team has obviously finally made that impact. Nottingham Forest are 2,000 to 1 again. Again, it's not an odd set that I've seen before. It's really baffling to me, and now I've seen it twice in the same save. But we are 50 to 1. The odds are with us. Everyone is expecting us to push on, maybe get into a European place. If we could get into a European place and a cup final, even if it's the EFL Cup again, I would take it. Before we get into the results of season number 5, if you are still here watching the video, I just want to say thank you very much for sticking it out and enjoying the content. If you are enjoying it, let me know that you are still here watching the video going into season number 5 by commenting down below Cyril the Swan. Now, Cyril the Swan is the Swansea City mascot. Hopefully editor Connor can pop up an image of him. He's a good lad and he gets into little scrapes here and now again, but it also lets me know that you are here at this point still watching the content over half an hour into the video. So thank you. Let me know Cyril the Swan down below. Let's get into Season 5. In the January window, we had some more transfer moves as we said goodbye to Federico Redondo, who joined Spurs for £33.5 million. But that did allow us to pick up Junior Krupi, who is now a Manchester City player, for a whopping £75 million. We were piss poor in the domestic cup competitions this season, getting bounced in the second round of the EFL Cup by League One Wycombe Wanderers on penalties, and things didn't get much better in the FA Cup as we needed a replay to knock out Watford before suffering defeat in the fourth round against Blackburn. However, our Premier League season was much better. We started the season well this time around, but it was once the new signings finally settled in that things really took off. We went on a huge run of games, going unbeaten from November through to the end of January, where we lost to Manchester City. As you can see, we won 12 of the 13 games in that stretch, catapulting us up the table. This was largely down to the performances of summer signing Elise Ben Sakhir, who went off this season, contributing 21 goals and 14 assists in his debut season. In the back half of the year, we only suffered 3 defeats, but managed to beat the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal and Chelsea as we climbed to the top of the Premier League table. We won the title with 81 points, so not a huge season in terms of a points return, but when you look at our return versus the salary per annum, we have had a remarkable season. So do you want to take the biggest team in Wales into the Champions League as Premier League champions? You can do so. The saves are on my Patreon right now for you to pick things up at this point. This team is amazing. You can take them into the Champions League if you're a Swans fan. And if you want to stay on YouTube and you want to see more rebuilds, check out this playlist. It's all the rebuilds we've done in this year's game.